one incident dominated the Aviva Premiership over the weekend. These are images we didn't want to see. Poor old George North being stretchered off the field at Franklin's Gardens. His third concussion within a few months. Remember, he got banged on the head twice against England during the Six Nations. Now, before we look at how it happened and what was said, this is a comment from World Rugby's concussion advisor, Professor Willie Stewart. George needs to be given an extended rest period to figure out if this is something that he is just not recovered from or whether there are genuine issues. I think he personally needs to say, no, I'm not playing again this season. If he does play again too soon, it could be the end of his World Cup or even his career. Now, that's coming from a man who is the concussion advisor. We saw Harlequins resting Mike Brown because he was showing symptoms again from the concussion he received in that international against Italy. This is a serious issue now.
Yeah, I think, you know, with the professor there, it's not the fact that he's saying, I know he has to rest. He says the doctors, the medical profession, don't know enough about concussion to know whether he can come back and play straight away. We don't have enough information, and that's why he's saying that George should spend as long as he can out of the game and then gradually return to it.
Well, it happened when he scored a try. It was a pretty impressive try, but what happened afterwards dominated. Let's revel in the try first and then discuss the aftermath.
That's a brilliant kick-off play. Sammy Manoa circled there. Look at the work coming around in between. Wade, not quite close enough, but he's probably not going to win that battle in the air. Lovely offload, great bit of footwork. And then the controversy occurs, and you know, it always looks worse in slow motion. So, you know, there's a bit quicker. He does catch him with the knee. The referee, when he sends Hughes off, eventually actually says it's because you tried to kick the ball out of George North's hands. That's foul play. I'm not saying you were trying to kick him in the head, but by kicking it out of his hands, which you're not allowed to do, it was reckless, hence a red card.
Do you agree with him?
No, I don't. But I can see why there is so much controversy, and actually I agree with the fact that he's made that decision if that's what he believes happened. He had a good view of it. He was right in front of the big screen at Franklin's Gardens. His TMO, after he said what he was going to do, said, do you want to have another look at it? Which in TMO and referees' communications code means, I'm not sure, this is your decision. He's had another look at it and he's 100% convinced that that's the right decision. So it is right to send him off if that's the case. However, it has such a bearing on the game, you have got to be 100% sure.
I was just maybe give us as briefly as you can, because I know it could go on for quite a while. No, it could be anyway, but give us an insight into a rugby player's mechanic going into that scenario, because that is it's important, because it's...
Yeah, well, you're someone who always tried to track the corner flag and get there before somebody got there. Sometimes you get there a bit late, and I think that's what's happened. For me, his right heel is on the ground. That indicates to me he's trying to slow down and get his foot out the way, and unfortunately, George turns to his right, picks his head up just at the wrong time. If he stays straight, George, I'm not saying it's George's fault, by the way, if he stays straight, potentially the foot goes past him and he doesn't get hit.
I think the other thing,
but Nathan Hughes doesn't know that.
I think Nathan
he's trying
Hughes
to slow down.
He's actually looking at his left foot. He catches him with the right and he's looking at the left and he almost drags it, thinking, I don't want to kick him. And it's his left foot. Now, you can say it's reckless in being there, but you've got to go there. You never know what's going to happen. You don't know whether the tackle is going to hold him up and you can get underneath.
That's the problem, though, isn't it? Because if you say reckless now, if you kick someone in the head, you're going to get a long ban. I mean, I did. If you get done for reckless, you're still going to get a long ban. You're going to get like 3 or 4 weeks, maybe. And that doesn't warrant it. That was just an accident. It was something that happened. It was coincidental, but the outcome of it was terrible. And I hope they don't react because of the outcome to George. I hope they look at it and say, actually, he was trying to avoid him, but he got it wrong. That to me is not reckless. Reckless is when you do something with a little bit of intent in your mind and it doesn't quite come off.
Henry, is there not a... I mean, I'm quite happy to go on record saying, not that I think it was definitely a red card, but I can understand why a red card was given. My concern on the night was I felt too many people were saying that's definitely not a red card. If someone gets a boot/leg to the head, someone's knocked unconscious, I think you need to look at it. Is there... We talk about duty of care. As a player now looking at that, in open play, do you now start thinking, I've got to be careful where I put my feet, or is this purely because this was in the action of scoring a try?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, I think, because if he gets up there, kind of dusts it off and walks off, you know, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's a yellow card, maybe it's just a penalty. But, you know, obviously not his fault, but he got knocked out and made a big thing out of it. So You know, in a game, you can do what you can. You don't want to stand on people, but, you know, it happens. It's just people knock you.
I think on that point, actually, what everyone's saying, what the referees and various bodies are saying is actually it does matter, the impact. And if he gets knocked out, it is worse, as it would be in the street. You know, you'll spend longer in jail if you knock someone out than if you just swing at someone, although it's the same thing. But, you know, the problem I think that you have is everywhere else on the pitch, if you're saying it's reckless, then every time you go into a ruck and hit a ruck as hard as you can, if there's someone on the floor and you don't know who's ringing us.
I mean, that's probably one of the Northampton fans.
If there's someone on the floor whose head's down there and you accidentally connect with them, which might happen, then that's reckless as well. So we get rid of rucking. That's my issue.
Who here thought that? Put your hands up if you thought it was a red card. Oh, not
quite
many.
a lot.
Not many.
All the youngsters, actually, interestingly.
Yeah, it's very interesting, right?
I think
who are you supporting?
I think what we have to say, I mean, for Craig Maxwell-Keys, only his 3rd Premiership game, whether he's right or right, gutsy call, stuck to his guns,
Absolutely.
very clear in his
and he'll learn. This is part of his
Keith Lewis,
learning
the
process
TMO.
as well. And we've got, you know, we all moan about old referees that can't, you know, we're not bringing enough through, and then as soon as someone comes through, you know, we're all happy to you know. We've seen in the other game there another controversial card decision in the Newcastle game with a much older referee. So let's not say young referee. He's got to learn. We've got to bring these guys through.
Also important to stress, Nathan Hughes is one of the nicest people you can meet. He was almost in tears when he came off the pitch. We know it wasn't intentional.